Hello, hello. We're back after a little bit of a break. Uh, Ended up going to the GDC, which was kind of a nice trip. Seeing a bunch of people from the industry and all of that. I'm trying to figure out what's happening with my. I think it's my lighting that's usually a little too much when it does that. Anyway, it's too white. There you go. That's a little bit better, but not. There you go. That's better. So yeah, ended up going to San Francisco for the GDC, which was a nice trip. So a lot of other developers, met some really nice people. It's always very encouraging when you see the people that are in the games industry. Lots of fine folks. Wow. Try to sound more American, and that's how it comes out. Anyway, so what do we have today? We're back on our project called Looting Legends. So I think it's this one. There we go. So Looting Legends. Actually got a cup, so before we get started, I'm going to fill up my cup. Make sure that everything is out. Make sure I don't have. I can keep an eye on urgent things popping up. See if we have to. No need to handle anything really important today. And this is gonna go over there. This is gonna go over there, and I think we should be good to go. Okay. All right. I think. Let me cut this. It's just me pouring Sprite in my glass, but let me just cut my mic for a second. There we go. All right, so Looting Legends. So we were at a point. I think I had a bunch of notes of what I needed to do. And I think we might be going to look at some of the UI stuff. Wow. Right, that's the message I want to jump at. Okay. It's just I have a message that is stuck between September 20 and September 23, but the message that I'm looking at is in March, which is always a little weird. But let's go back to, it was March 20, I think. March 23, I think it was, that we were talking about that. And I ended up making a nice little list that I forgot to transfer to my notes, but it should be around here. It's totally messed up. Alright. I'm surprised I didn't put it in my notes. I guess it did not. That is, oh no, it was March 21 at 7:28. Right, March 21 at 7:28. Let's go see. '24, '25. March 21. It's coming. It's coming. All right. Once I find it, it's gonna go a lot faster to figure out what I need to do exactly. But there we go. So for the UI. All right. So now let's set up a few more things while we are here. We are going to pull up Restream and change the title of our stream. Because we are going to be making All right. So let's get going. So here's a couple things we need to do. The inventory queue, the interactability outline, a drop-off zone. We need to do a timer for announcements. Basically, it probably goes in the center or something like this. Better line render material. Stuff to display the scores in the corners. Up there. And I think that's it. So there's one thing that I'm really not sure how to do, is how we can transform like this, what do you say, like for example pot tension, how we can transform this thing into a UI image. You know what I mean? So how are we going to be doing that? I think first we're going to do one thing, which is checking a few things. First, in the player input manager thing, enable split screen, maintain aspect ratio, set fixed number of screen, or otherwise allow the screen to be divided automatically. Screen rectangle. Okay. I'm not sure how to do that, honestly. I feel very thirsty though. So let me think. Putting a little video up there. So there you go, that's an outline like we want. Outline color, outline width. Okay. Creating an outline process, writing a screen space outline shader and post-process effect, writing a composite shader and post effect. Finish photos so when objects are obscured. I feel like we probably will want the sound, even though it's gonna make us probably get muted on the clip.
The post-processing system for this, so if it isn't already installed into your project, head into the package manager and grab it. I've already got a post-process on our main camera here, just to make the scene a little more vibrant. We're actually going to write 2 different shaders for our outline and 2 different post-process effects. For now, we'll start with the outline itself and deal with the compositing later in the video. Post-processing scripts are weird because they're actually comprised of 2 different components, a settings class and a rendering class. We'll start by creating our outline.
Okay, creating a post-process outline.
Depth min and depth max. And then next we'll create...
I would love to find one that is just not, that is like there we go. That is something that we can probably follow and read and try to understand. Alright, so 15 minutes to complete. That sounds like a good time. Outline or edge detection. Effects are most commonly associated and paired with toon style shading. However, outline shaders have a wide variety of uses, from highlighting important object on screen to increasing visual clarity in CAD rendering. This is blah blah blah. Okay, getting started. The post-process layer and post-process volume components. So on the camera we have the post-processing effects and volume probably already attached. The main camera. You will note that I already attached to it all the post-process layer and post-process volumes component. Post-process see, so that's got to be in there. The post-process layer and the post-processing is through here. Projection. I mean, I think that's good. I think it's fine like that. Anyway. Okay, let's just download this project. It's loading. And it crashed. Because why wouldn't it? For squid. Sorry. So add from our downloads Unity shader side effect. No, I don't want that. We want whatever. Hmm. Hmm. Alright, I kind of like what this thing is doing, so let's just figure out how it's currently being done. Alright, so on the main camera, got a post-process layer and volume. So first, I think here what we're missing is the package manager, and then in here we should have a post-processing here install. We wait a little bit for it to install, get packaged and all of that. Right, then we're going to put it on our camera here. Hope it doesn't crash. Otherwise we have a post-process layer and a post-process volume, and this is the outline on and off. Okay. Why is this crashing now? Alright. Blah blah blah. Assigned to the profile field of the volume is a post-process profile. Outline post-profile. These components allow us to make a post-processing sign. Assigned to the profile field. Outline post-process post-profile. This will contain data that we will use to configure our outline effects. Note that by default, anti-aliasing in the layer is set to no anti-aliasing. It can be useful to keep anti-aliasing disabled when developing screen space shader, as it allows you to see the end product of the shader without any further modification applied. For the finished screenshot in this tutorial and for best result, anti-aliasing is set to sub-pixel morphological anti-aliasing at high quality. There we go. Then we're going to take our player camera, turn it on, take our camera, player camera, and in there we're going to add a post process layer and a post process volume. The layer is going to be on here. What did they use the layer for? Layer of post processing. You want for no layer has been set. The trigger will never be affected by volumes. For now, we'll just leave it camera 1. Anti-aliasing, no anti-aliasing. But otherwise, it would have been like this pretty much. But for now, we'll do no anti-aliasing. And then custom effect sorting and toolkit is both roasting post-process outline. Okay. So that's that. Open the outline shader in your preferred code editor. And that is the outline shader, that is this one, right? So now we are going to go down here in our material. I thought I had a shaders one too. Scripts. Oh, there we go. Shaders. Create. Is it post-processing profile? No. I mean, yes, but no. Create. Is it just a shader? It is a shader. Where do I find shader? There. Shader. I don't want shader graph. I just want just a shader. There we go. What is this one? This is a shader, but alright, just an open. Okay. Yep, readme, outline shader, processing. Great. Stereo cube map render on. Unity single pass stereo. Outline. Huh. I'm not sure which type of shader it is, but you know what? We'll just create a shader. We'll just do a lit shader for now. And just call it outline. I can't even open this solution. So we are going to close it for now. So open the outline shader in your preferred code editor. Shaders written for Unity's post-processing have a few differences compared to standard image effects. Although the shader code itself is the same, it is encapsulated in HLSL program blocks instead of CG program. As well, some functionality such as texture sampling is now handled by macros. Currently, the outline file contains a simple fragment shader named frag that samples the image. Okay, I really would need, would love for this other thing to load. Would be great. Really asking for it done. I feel like I just want this nice shader here to just open sesame. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we are just going to do Command C, Command V. And the shader is going to be in up outline process call of sub shader, there is a pass. Okay. Okay, so add the following code to the top of the fragment shader. Sorry, it's probably here actually, right? Do we have an underscore scale? We don't, right? There is no underscore scale like that. No. We first calculate two values. These two values will alternatively be incremented by one as underscore scale increase. By scaling our values this way, we are able to increment our edges with exactly 1 pixel at a time, achieving a maximum possible granularity while still keeping the coordinate center around i.text coordinates. Okay, next, scale will need to be edited as a configurable property. Properties are created a bit differently with the post-processing effect. We'll first define it as a float in our shader program as usual. Add the following code below the float blah 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 line here. Okay. So essentially we do it like that. We take the floor and the ceiling of the scale. Okay. Basically it gets the corner around. Now open the postprocess.cs. Didn't see there was one like postprocess outline.cs. It's probably that one. This thing still refuses to be open, but broke it. We're gonna just take this, put it in our shader class, turn it off here. Okay. This file contains class that manage rendering our custom effect and exposing any configurable values to the editor. We will expose underscore scale as a parameter and pass it into our shader. Add to the post-process outline class. Hello. Thank you for the follow. And hello, I'm Revs. Hello. So the post-process outline.cs we will expose. So add to the post-process outline class, we are going to add this thing. And then add to the render method in the post-process outline render class just below our sheet declaration. So basically right here, sheet.priorities.set float scale. So essentially we get the property sheets and we pass it this scale to it. Okay, if you select the outline post profile asset now, you will see that scale has been exposed to the inspector. We'll leave it at 1 for now. You are now ready to sample the depth texture using our 4 UV coordinate. Let's go back into this for now and see, because we don't have a post-process profile per se. I'm actually going to create going to create a folder called shaders and move the post-process outline into it. The GDC was good. It was fun to see a bunch of other people from the industry, get to meet a lot of, new people, which is fun. Happy to be home though when I get back to it. Okay, we do need a profile actually. So essentially what we're gonna do is we'll do a player camera post-process profile, player camera. And in the player camera, we're going to add an effects for the post-process outline, where we can scale it and leave it at 1 for now. Cool. Yeah, it was fun. It's nice seeing people, and it's like, especially when you work all day in your bedroom, going out and seeing a bunch of other developers that are doing the same thing. Not all in their bedroom, but it's the same kind of work, is nice. Makes you feel less alone in your bedroom. Yeah. So we're now ready to sample the depth texture using our 4 UV coordinates. Add to the fragment shader just below float 2 top left UV. So we're back into our fragment shader now. Add to the fragment shader just below float 2 top left UV. So basically under that. So here we're going to add we're gonna add this. Control I. There we go. Okay. Depth buffer outbreak to the screen. To increase visual clarity of this image, the near plane of the camera has been set to 2. Okay, so now if we do No, don't attack me. want to be attacked. Alright, I'm good here. So the main camera. I'm unsure what it does. Okay, so add above the return depth and replace the existing blah blah blah. So essentially we do this. Return. As the difference can be positive or negative, we take the absolute value of it before returning the results, since the difference between nearby depth values can be very small and therefore difficult to see on screen. How important would you say attending those in person is for those just starting in the industry? Sorry, I got distracted with my shader. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely pretty important, pretty useful. It's also just very expensive. Like the fact that it's in San Francisco and the tickets for the GDC are really high. Like for example, I went to the GDC, but I didn't do any of the conferences, or I did it last year. That was very interesting. I don't know how good it is for people just starting in the industry. I like it because I'm like lucky enough that I can crash at my parents, so I can save on the hotel and all that. But for someone that's just starting, that maybe can't afford all, I don't know if it's really the right thing to go and do. I don't know. But for me, I feel like it was very useful to go to it and just meet the people that I've been, only messaging and never met in person. Meeting new people and all that stuff. So I think it depends on where you are in your career, and if you can afford it, then definitely go. But if you can't, I think there's also other people online that do, like on Twitter, for example, or X, whatever it's called. There'll be people that will create spaces where you can meet other developers who aren't able to make it to the GDC, and those are nice spaces too to meet people. I'm like usually too afraid to talk on social media to participate in them, so that going to the GDC is still easier for me. But if you can't make it, that's a good option to meet fellow devs. So in this thing now, does it mean that I don't know, like if I do everything, fuck it, let's do everything. I feel like this thing is also now not it's bizarre, right? Something is not really working great, and what if I added, kind of want to try to see, like, for example, a lens distortion one. Like if I add a lens distortion, see, I feel like it's not really working. I think I'm missing something. Like, for example, what if I add bloom, intensity? See, like even bloom isn't working almost. Is it because it should be on the default stuff? No. On the player stuff? This camera will only be affected by volumes in the selected scene layers. This camera will only be affected by volume in the selected scene. But it's in the simulation layer. Should it be in the simulation layer? No, right? It should be in the camera 1 layer. Now it looks like there's a bloom effect that happened. Or is it just me? Looks like it's just me. So then the thing I don't understand is if I hold F now, I'll pop up over there, and the extras are in this simulation extra, when they should just be into the camera 1, no? In which case, there is some post-processing happening, but what? And why is that not? trigger. I'm not sure. Those are the post-processing happening. Color adjustment, lift camera, volume. So why is this one working and the other one isn't? But if I just use volume, then I can just use volume here. And why can't I put the... So what's the difference between volume and post-process volume? All right, so you know what? We're not gonna do it exactly the same way. We're gonna get rid of this. And in here, we're gonna add a volume and then add a new volume here. Where did that volume went? Scene P, dungeon, player camera profile. Here we go. We're gonna move it here. It's gonna be called the player camera. This player camera here is going to be this one, perfect. And we're gonna add an override post-processing. Now it's probably a different one. How do you create a new shader? This one seems like it's a little bit better. Name is Ben. Global volume. It is a baseline and how we can blah 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 blah. There you go. Ha. Okay. Alright, there we go. That's gonna be a little bit better, I think. Let me just check, make sure it's using the right one. It is using shader graphs. I like this a lot better, if I'm being very honest. Because using shader graphs, I must say, I can understand it a little bit better. Okay. It's a very like starch outline though. I wanted just the edges. How do you highlight like this? Highlight. No, not 3D. Not 2D. We want 3D. Edge highlight 3D post processing question. Selection outline. I'm trying to do. That's an interesting post. Render selected object into a mass buffer. This is a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. What is the best way to do step 1? Okay. I'm curious in his last ramble, installing the post-processing using a post-processing effect. In this ramble, installing a post-processing package, but this is not, we want into URP stuff. Edge highlight 3D into URP. think we're gonna have to go back to a video, but see, that does every outline, even the middle ones, which I don't really want the middle ones. I just want the outlying ones. Yeah. See, creating how do you create post process effect in Unity URP volume pipeline? How has things been going with the new build? Well, it's been going fine until trying to do this outline thing, which I can't really figure out how to do what I am trying to do. Post-processing. Am I crazy, or did this have... No, this didn't have anything. How to configure volume, effect list. That's what we were just looking at. That cannot work. Let's do it differently. Edge, highlights, 3D shader graph, Unity URP. There you go. Alright, great. So, technique. One of the most basic outline effects can be achieved by using a so-called Fresnel effect, which can be used to render an outline on the rim edge of an object. The Fresnel effect describes the reflection transmission of a light when falling out onto a transparent surface. However, when using it for rendering outline, this physical meaning of the effect is not important. The following formula is used to form the outline. The formula takes the dot product between the normalized vector n and normalized view direction v, then this gets exponentiated with a power p. It is important to note that this is only an approximation of the Fresnel effect. Implementation. For this approach, the object that needs to have an outline gets rendered using a custom shader. This shader implements the Fresnel effect and allows us to set the width, power, softness, and color for the outline. Technique produces an outline that is always an inner line and is not visible outside of the object, and so maybe shouldn't even be called an outline. By controlling the width, power, and softness of the outline, it is possible to create hard lines or a more soft, glowy effect. For a cube, for example, the outline will look really bad and not even resemble an outline. For a more complex model, you will have the issue of getting lots of uneven line width, although the overall outline effects can look alright. Yeah, vertex extrusion. Rewrite the duplicate version of the original object mesh to form the outline. This duplicate object gets shown behind the original object, and its vertices get extruded in order to make the duplicated object larger than the original one. The duplicated object is usually just rendered with a flat color. That's pretty good. I think that's better than the previous stuff we're looking at. The second technique, blah, blah. In order to make the duplicate mesh larger, we need to change the position of its vertices. We will be moving the vertices a certain distance along a certain direction. The first step is to pick this direction. What's up, Posey? You alright? My dog is just on the bed looking at me. The first method to enlarge the mesh is to simply scale it up. This is done by moving each vertex position along the vertex position. This may sound weird, but the vertex position in local space can be seen as a vertex between the center of the object and the vertex position itself. And so we can move the original vertex position along that vector for the distance we use the white. Okay. Once we have decided the direction along with which we want to move the vertices, we need to choose in which coordinate space. This extrusion should happen during the vertex stage of our shader. The coordinates. This starts. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure what the signification of this coordinate space for our outlines will be explained below. For more info, you can read my notes on space. Okay, the first method is to translate the vertices in object space. In position as xyz plus equal 8 plus. Still, if not using custom to normal, the method has issue with meshes that have sharp corners, resulting in gaps in the outline. Also, if the normal of the mesh are not set up correctly, masking the duplicate mesh should be rendered so that's only the outline sticking out is visible. The most common solution for this is to call the front-facing geometry of the duplicate mesh from the outline a depth test of less than or equal to. Okay, I like this one. I think I like that one the best. After the blur pass, the blurred silhouette gets combined with the original scene to form the outline. It would be okay if we were going for this kind of aesthetic, but we aren't. Okay, so let's just do, essentially, I think we're gonna do this blur thing here. So, a silhouette, the first step of this technique is creating the silhouette buffer. Okay, so I think we're gonna want to do a U shader pretty much. Yeah, we're gonna want to do that. Okay, we're gonna delete those. We are going to go here and delete all those two. Okay. then we are going to create a lit shader graph. It's going to be called shader outline lit. Let's change it slightly and make it shader lit outline. Okay. Then we're going to, oh damn it. Yeah. Not sure what the difference, but alright, whatever. Alright, so in here, a silhouette buffer. So I think the first thing we want to do, we're gonna get a shaded lit see-through as well, because in here, object distance from camera, we have a 4 objects. Okay, so got our main texture, right? Texture Thule, main text. I'm not totally main texture. Yeah, main texture. Main text. Okay. Let's do for default. We're gonna do pot. I'm gonna do a pot or something. No, great. Alright, so silhouette shader graph. Can't even produce a silhouette shader in shader graph. Playing around with shader graphs lately, and I found a lot of fun features. Making stuff look good as a good tutorial on this effect, although it involves reading shader code. This silhouette outline shader. Alright, let's do it like that. Okay. Is this seriously gonna do copy and paste? It's just the same as me. Intro to shader graph to depth shader. No, I want a silhouette outline shader graph. Silhouette outline shader graph unity. How does the silhouette outline shader work? The best outline shader graph tutorial. Look at this. CG smoothie. All right. Let's see if that really is the best shader outline tutorial. All right. Let's first make our outline. It's gonna be a color called outline color. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Next, create a normal vector node in the object space and run it through a normalized node. Normal vector node into a normalized node. Okay. And run it through a normalized node. And then multiply by a new float parameter called the outline thickness. Okay. Then you send this into a multiply A, and you multiply it by the outline thickness. Oh, that's not a flow, that's a color. Oopsie. Oops. It's gonna be a float called outline thickness. Delete. Alright. Multiply by the outline thickness. So add that to a position node object space. So you add that to a position node in the object space. And this we're gonna make it 0.1 for now. Oh wow. Alright, let's try it. How is it looking for us? In our scene, we are going to take, I don't know, like something here. Let's take this lever. Okay, we are not going to show the selection outline. Okay. material is wood planks. For now we're going to make it outline, shaded lit outline. And yeah, it's definitely something bigger here happening. Blown up. 0.01. And the outline color doesn't really work. But that means that all of these materials need to have a specific one inside of it, right? That is gonna be like, that's what I don't really like. They want us outline color into the base color, and if you do save assets at this point, it's gonna change to that white thing, because wood planks here is totally white. And if we make it red, so that's gonna change a lot, drastically. So basically what you need is like almost not change dice one, but then add a like empty essentially copy of this copy component, paste component as new, copy component, paste component as new, essentially, right? Okay. Where in here you would add the wood planks for the dungeon. Oh, it's the same one. Huh. Okay, and then this one though, it wouldn't be this, it would be not this material, it would be going into, put it here for now, and it would be outline this one, right? And these two would take this material, which would be bigger because it would be 0.01 here. The outline would be, I don't know, like red or something. And now But so now if you turn this off, oh, there you have this to be on, right? Alright, now you do have it where it's over. So then I understand if you do like rendered back face only, right? Material unlit, and it becomes a back face. Now you have somewhat of an outline, pretty much, right? It's not perfect, like, at all. It's not even moving. Yeah, it's not okay. So if this here become shader lit outline thing, first off, it's ugly as hell, but it does move. Okay. So yeah, that is not exactly what I was hoping to have to do. But so this part of the video is obliged if you make it as obsolete. Okay. The outline of this commentator is also not consistent. It fixes by dividing the outline thickness. We still need those objects, so let's add, okay. A custom URP renderer. Okay. In the custom renderer, we need to add some renderer features. Oh, you can add both. Wait a minute, I can add both materials to this, so I actually don't need to really do what I've been doing. Right? I think that's the big mistakes that I haven't been realizing, is that this should just be a lit universal render pipeline, but it can have an outline, shaded lit outline thing on top, which means that now it does have this thing. But we'll make it like outline material. this outline material is going to go here, and yes, looks better to me. And like the outline color can go in here, save assets, and now we have something at least, you know. It's not perfect, but there is an outline, and we can make it maybe a little bit bigger. I'm not a big fan of having it like yeah, it's not really a pretty outline, like by any means. So I'm not really sure. Because it's doing the back face, but it's not doing it like correctly, I guess this would be the term. But like for example on this one, right, on this spot, this spot here, we're gonna add, if we add the outline material here, yeah, I mean, maybe it could work. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about that one now anymore. Uh, what about that other one? The jump flood algorithm. On almost every project I've worked on, at some point someone comes out with a bit of graphic design concept art like this. My usual response is to sigh and start explaining why we can't do outlines like that, or at least start talking to them about the kind of deep modification to the asset pipeline we would need to make this possible. Of course, my latest project is no different, but this time before I launched into my script on the difference between what Photoshop can do compared to the limitation of real time, I had a thought. GPUs are stupidly fast now, maybe I should try it again. This is a tale about trying to make very wide outlines for real-time rendering, attempting to over-engineer and optimize the bad brute force way to see how fast I can get it, and then finally relenting and implementing the method I was willfully ignoring from the start. Spoiler at it, it's the jump flood algorithm. One of the oldest and most used methods for adding outlines to any mesh is the inverted hole method. This has been probably for as long as 3D rendering has been a thing. Just render the mesh twice with the second version of it flipped inside out and slightly bigger. Jet Set Radio is an excellent early example of this technique, but it's still used today to create great effect like any of the recent 3D fighting games from Arc System Works. That's crazy, I hadn't realized there were outlines when I, played it, but it makes sense. You live and you learn. The methods for achieving a slightly bigger mesh are varied, but the most common method is to move the vertices out by the vertex normal. For a very old game, this would have been done outside the game and there would simply have been two meshes, but today it's most commonly done with shaders. The great thing with this style of mesh-based outline is it's very cheap and relatively versatile into a wide range of outline width. The problem is with any mesh-based outline system is that it requires some very intentional content setup. Without that, you can easily get split edges, holes, and other artifacts. I've done this work before on several projects over the years. I knew I could fall back on it if we needed to, but I've never been completely pleased with the outcome, even with spending significant resources on the content pipeline and asset processing. Even with the extra work, it's basically impossible to get consistent, pixel-perfect outline. It's just not a solution that works on arbitrary meshes if you're attempting to match the clean. Thus, I started down this rabbit hole. I'm not going to try to pronounce this title. What happens if I write a totally brute force outline shader today? How wide of an outline can I get before it becomes a noticeable impact on the frame rate for the ridiculously fast 2080 Super my computer is currently sporting? So I found out. I wrote one. A really dumb, straightforward one. Looks pretty good. In fact, it basically matches a Photoshop outline exactly, and it's nowhere near as slow as I feared. Here's a basic right there. What the code for this does, I render out a target mesh set of meshes with a solid white shader to a full screen grayscale render texture. Then I render that back to the main target with a shader that naively samples all pixels within some pixel range, taking the max value. Is this expensive? Absolutely, but outlines I would consider quite wide by usual buffers weren't expensive enough to be a noticeable impact on the frame rate, at least not on my RTX 2080 Super and a 1920 1080 frame. Hmm. I could calculate my own rectangular screen space bound from the vertex position, but I want this to work with the skin meshes, and that complicates things. However, I realize I could use bitmap. This is an incredibly interesting article, but I feel bad for like just reading it on stream. So let me just skip through to where he gives us the answer. Yep. Very interesting. Blurring the line. Blurred face outline. 10 pixels of below. The optimized brute force approach was way faster for most of the range, but not meaningfully so. Blurring it is clearly faster for wider radii, however not as much as I feared. Okay, because this technique also has a few problems that aren't easily solvable. Thin, sharp, or small features can disappear or fade. Proper anti-aliasing is harder. Okay, Gaussian blur, optimized brute force. Okay. I'd known about the jump plot algorithm for a while and had some experience using the results of someone else's implementation. It's not been impressed with the quality and didn't think it worked for my use case. Mainly because I didn't think it worked well with my self-imposed requirement of handling an anti-alias starting buffer. The reality is I just didn't understand how it worked well enough and was scared of it. Luckily, I decided to try the time to understand it. These links helps. Work of mine wrote a per pixel sign distance field effect that can do the whole screen. Wow, that is impressive. Damn. Ignoring the extra cost for memory bandwidth increases, int will be a lot more less. Like the brute force methods, which are O and blur, which is O, and jump float is O logarithmic 2n. That means the cost of the outline is constant for each power of 2 pixel rate, just like the Gaussian blur. I'm not doing any limiting apart with three easy steps. I mentioned before I didn't think JFA would work well with my self-imposed requirement. To some degree that's still an issue, but I found a way to support anti-aliasing above as well as brute force. It's actually better than brute force at handling thin or sharp edges, and certainly better than the Gaussian blur. Before I go into that, I want to talk a little about JFA in more details and the main stages for producing the outline. The start for all the outline techniques I tried is the same. I render out a grayscale mask of the mesh I want to have an outline. There are many possible ways to do this, but in my case I use a command buffer that renders each object with a solid white unlit material. This is my starting mask I drew the outline from. So now the question is, how do I get that shader outline? How do you get just a pure white thing? Delete. Graph setting is going to be front for now. Okay, save assets. Close. Okay, and now this is going to do the outline material as well. Okay, this outline material. This might be something that I have to figure out of stream, because depth texture, normal texture, color texture, outline. Okay. Oh, same person. Depth, normal texture. Scriptable render feature. Ah, but it's not shader graph. Okay, fine. Let's try to figure it out. Frame cleanup. Execute current buffer clear. Camera data. Overhead material throw renders. That's not it. Oh man. Okay. Jump 1 in it, jump 1, jump 2, jump 3, jump 4, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so jump flood shader graph algorithm. That doesn't really work for us here. That's not great. Not great at all. Um, um, hmm. Okay. So, writing mount shaders. The other option I can do is check on the Unity asset store, because this is a trove of information, and if it's something that complicated, sometimes there might be a nice all-in-one outline and selection effects. Look at that, for $18. It's always a quick thing. A license type single entity, that's fine, but UV baked, normals, position. Get stunning and seamless outline for your game with the easy to use and performant easy outline shader compatible with URP and HDRP. Color gradient intentions, masked outline, adaptive thickness, UV baking tool for creating smooth normals even with flat shaded meshes. Does not support skid meshes, so that's an issue because we have skinned meshes. HDRP clean outline, HDRP, but I kind of just want to learn it. So yeah, basically we're gonna want to do a shader graph for a jump flood algorithm, but it's probably something I'm missing about a way to do it without it being Hmm. That is one long shader. Oh man. Um. Wow. I'm not sure. It's gonna be a long figuring things out of things that I need to do, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do that. Um. It's gonna be outline random feature for Unity URP, blah blah blah. Instantly share gem flood on outline shader. Hmm. So essentially, we gotta either do it with a shader and a material, or do it with a post processing effect. And I think I'm gonna stop streaming now ish and go listen to some videos to like figure out exactly how to do it, and then I can prepare that, and I think we'll get back to it on our Thursday stream. Um, but yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, There's some cool things that could work in here as well. But it does every edges, which is not really what we want. We don't want to do every edge. We just want the edge that goes around it. So yeah, essentially that's the two options that I know of. I'll figure it out. I still want to do some more research on the post-processing stuff, but I'm gonna listen to some videos, which is probably not gonna be super interesting, especially like, you know, on stream. I don't think you can do that. But yeah. So I'm gonna end the stream a little bit early, in like a few minutes. This is the most promising so far, and I think we might want them to be quite like thick, because like when, you know, like already like this one is 0.01, and you know, it's not like it's, no, it's pretty. Couple things that are gonna have to be done pretty soon, like changing all the materials and recreating all the materials that I can do for, you know, those like see-through walls, so that I make sure it works everywhere. This stuff is Z fighting or something like that. Also, there's a bunch of things that I want to do with this, where like, you know, adding a spin or making it like hit a little bit better. But yeah, a couple more things to work on. But this was a good day going back into it, figuring out a bunch of options for our outline shader, which is going to be pretty big, I think, to show like we needed to work really well. And I will do some more research. Thank you for everyone who hung out with me while I was doing the initial research. And yeah, I will see you all on Thursday. Have a good one.